Hello, Organifi friends. My name is Lindsay Lecrage, and I'm an epigenetics coach. And I'm super excited to share with you guys a few things about the work that I do, the field that I work in, and also how it relates to Organifi because they are truly some of my very favorite products. I'm actually pretty obsessed. So, epigenetics basically is this wide field that proves that all of the things that you incorporate into your lifestyle have a real impact on your body's performance down to a cellular level, like even at a genetics level. So, epigenetics actually helps us to see how to optimize your body with your lifestyle in a very holistic way based on what your genetics actually have, kind of like using your own body's wiring to map out your ideal wellness plan. So, that's a little bit about what I do. I also work a lot in the field of nutrigenomics, which is basically under the umbrella, if you will, of epigenetics. And just like the name suggests, nutrigenomics is basically using a really dialed in approach to nutrition to customize each individual's approach based on what their genetics actually need. So that's a whole mouthful. Basically, I work with people and use a genetic sample to actually determine exactly how their bodies function the best. So, from just a little swab of the cheek, you can actually see how to optimize things like your diet, your exercise approach, how much you should be sleeping, what supplements that your body needs, and maybe things that you don't need. You can get so much information from this one little test. It's pretty incredible. And it's honestly changed my life many, many times over. I've had very much like a windy road as far as my own wellness has gone. I've been through a lot of kind of unexplained things that I spent a lot of time in doctor's offices and doing a lot of different functional lab tests that really didn't ever connect the dots. And epigenetics and nutrigenomics was really the thing that allowed me to get that full picture of like the foundational functioning of my body versus just kind of chasing whatever's going on in the moment. So, in my practice, the coolest thing about it is really getting a great understanding of what each person's body really is looking for. And what that does is help you to really streamline all the things that you're doing. So, as you probably know, in this wild world of wellness, there's so much conflicting information. There's people over here telling you that you should eat tons of this and none of that. And then there's people over here telling you that that stuff is bad and you should focus on this instead. And it can feel really overwhelming, especially when it comes to the world of supplementing. And as someone who used to spend way more money than I will ever care to admit on supplements that did not work for me, epigenetics was really the thing that cleared it all up and kind of cut through all of the white noise. So, one of the things that I do with clients is actually help them to understand where they should be focusing their efforts, if there are any things that their bodies are particularly struggling with, and how to support those in a holistic way. And that definitely includes supplements. And the thing that I find with Organifi is that they have so many amazing products that fit really perfectly into that full picture of wellness. And it's just the easiest thing. And it's a lot more pleasant than taking a bunch of pills. So I'll walk you through a couple of my favorites and how they really fit in with my nutrigenomics and epigenetics plan. The first thing, of course, first things first, the OG green juice. So, green juice is really perfect for me specifically and for people who need a little help in the cleansing department. So, basically, one of the major things that I learned from my epigenetics was that I have issues with methylation, and you may have heard of this MTHFR couple of genes. And so it's very, very common. I have to say, almost everyone that I read genetics for has some sort of hiccup in their methylation process, or they have some certain variants in the MTHFR genes. And it's something that you can go your entire life without knowing unless you've done genetics testing. And basically, the methylation process or those MTHFR genes are helpful in that methylation process that help your body to really get rid of things like heavy metals, a lot of other toxins, and things like that. So it's important for individuals who need methylation support that we're constantly really mindful of our toxic intake, but also of any efforts that we can do that would help to support that cleansing effect. So basically, green juice was made for me. So with the chlorella, the spirulina, and the wheatgrass, those are really important for clearing out things that don't belong in the body. They're really just holistically cleansing. And the other thing that I really like about this one is it has a lot of different antioxidants in it. So the moringa is really wonderful for antioxidant support, as well as the ashwagandha. I love that it has a little bit of matcha in it, and I'm a big fan of matcha because I'm also a slow metabolizer of caffeine that I learned through my genetics. So this is basically how I start my day. I do sometimes do a little matcha after that, but I have to watch the caffeine intake for sure. So the next thing that I always look forward to during the day is, of course, my red juice. So red juice for me, again, is really great for a bit of energizing support, especially in the afternoon when I feel like a little bit of a slump. We can see a lot about like the cortisol production and response in the body as well. So that's really helpful. And I tend to have actually a low cortisol production. So that means that I tend to struggle with energy throughout the day. I also, again, don't metabolize caffeine really well. So these products are perfectly supportive for me without making me feel like anxiety city, you know? So the red juice is really cool because I also need support with something called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is basically something that helps to boost brain function. It's also great for immune support and just kind of like energy levels throughout the body. And honestly, a lot of people that supplement with nitric oxide specifically are competitive training, and that's definitely not me. I'm not super athletic. So I really love having the red juice as a little bit of a gentle support that's going to give me a boost in nitric oxide from the beetroot powder that's in here. But it's also got a couple of other things like the cordyceps that help to boost that energy without going to something that's a full-on caffeine. And I would say, last but not least for today, I will say one of the most common questions that I get is, what kind of protein powder should I be using? And of course, it has to be Organifi for me. So this one works really well for me. I don't do well with whey protein personally. And again, that all goes back to things that I learned from my epigenetics report. Um, for me, the funny thing is, and the thing that surprises the most people, is that my body actually tends to store excess protein as body fat. And this is honestly one of the most common things that people are shocked to find out, is that that old school mentality of like eating more protein and less carbs to lose weight does not work for so many people. Many people like myself who have a pretty average activity level, we're not really hardcore trainers or anything like that, we can have a tendency to store excess body fat if we're eating too much protein. So eating something or supplementing with something that's a little bit more low key and also a plant-based formula is perfect for me. This one's really great for digestion because it does have some enzymes included. But the main thing, not only with the protein powders, but also the other products that I love from Organifi, the biggest thing to me is there are no preservatives or fillers. So it is really rare to find different drink, supplements and things like that, and especially protein powders that don't have things like citric acid or the maltodextrin or a lot of these different fillers that people can be chemically sensitive to. And so that's really why they kind of won my loyalty. And then when I realized how awesome their formulas are, it was just a no-brainer. So I know that's tons of information. If you guys have questions about epigenetics or nutrigenomics, if you'd like to find out about what your body specifically needs, then hit me up. If you want more general information, I'm always happy to nerd out and chat with you guys. You can find me at Lindsay Lecrage, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.